and welcome to the 700 Club. Well, it looks like the investigation into Russia's interference in last year's election is far from over, now that the special counsel has impaneled a grand jury. But President Trump has also gotten some good news. A governor has switched from Democrat to Republican. And Gary Lane has that story.
Within hours of the news that a federal grand jury is now investigating Russian actions in the election, President Trump came out swinging at a West Virginia rally. He lambasted the special counsel for hiring some lawyers who supported Hillary Clinton and the Democrats for ties to special interests. And once again, he blamed them for advancing a false narrative about his ties to Russia.
The reason why Democrats only talk about the totally made-up Russia story is because they have no message, no agenda, and no vision.
The president listed his accomplishments in just a short 7 months in office. Accomplishments he suggests his opponents don't want you to know, like a record-high stock market, reforms at the Veterans Administration, thousands of manufacturing jobs coming back to America, and executive orders allowing the Keystone and Dakota Access pipelines.
The Russia story is a total fabrication. It's just an excuse for the greatest loss in the history of American politics. That's all it is.
Grand juries are commonly used to subpoena records and witnesses, but they don't necessarily mean any criminal charges will be sought. But the grand jury news, first reported by the Wall Street Journal, suggests Mueller may be expanding his investigation into following the money, possible Trump campaign and business transactions with Russians. Not only can a federal grand jury force a president to testify, as in the case of Bill Clinton, it can also subpoena documents like tax returns and bank records.
If I were in the White House, I would be concerned that the investigation has gone up another notch, or appears to have gone up another notch. In short order, probably people who are in the administration or former members of the administration or former members of the campaign will be getting subpoenas to testify and to provide documents.
But presidential lawyer Jay Sekulow said the president isn't a target of the probe.
We have no reason to believe that the president's under investigation here.
Despite the federal grand jury investigation, the president and Republicans received some good news Thursday. West Virginia Governor Jim Justice announced he's switching parties from Democrat to Republican.
Like it or not like it, but the Democrats walked away from me. Today, I will tell you with lots of prayers and lots of thinking. Today, I'll tell you as West Virginians, I can't help you anymore being a Democrat governor.
Justice is a coal magnate. He owns 5 mines and more than 100 companies. As he told CBN's Wendy Griffith, he also is a faithful Christian.
I pray many times a day and read the Bible every single night before I go to bed, and I've done it forevermore. When God is in your life, you know, it just empowers you, and you're not afraid, and you feel Him there.
And with Justice switching parties, there are now 34 Republican governors and only 15 Democratic governors. And the Republicans now control the governorship and legislatures in 26 states. Democrats only have full control in 6 states. The others are divided. But the news of West Virginia's governor switching parties was overshadowed by all the Washington frenzy over the impaneling of a federal grand jury. The president would like a quick conclusion to the Russia investigation, but Mueller's latest move suggests it may continue for a very long time. Gary Lane, CBN News.
Parties have changed focus and direction. Isn't it refreshing when you see somebody who recognizes that and then makes a personal decision to do what he believes is genuinely right? Well, in other news, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee has voted to pass a bill that would cut U.S. funds to the Palestinian Authority because of its payments to terrorists and their families. Wendy Griffith has that story.
Thanks, Terry. That's right. The bill is called the Taylor Force Act. It was written after the brutal murder of an American business school student and combat veteran Taylor Force. He was stabbed to death in March of last year during a school trip to Israel. The Palestinian Authority praised the man who killed him as a heroic martyr. Senator Lindsey Graham wrote the bill.
The Palestinian Authority pays families of like this a lump sum of money and lifetime payments. So if you're a young Palestinian, the best thing maybe you can do for your family in terms of income streams is to be a terrorist. That's sick. We give over $300 million a year of aid to the Palestinian Authority. This bill, crafted by Senator Corker and myself and others, is going to cut off all U.S. funding to the Palestinian Authority until they change their laws which reward terrorism.
Senator Graham is confident the bill will become law. Well, the U.S. Inspector General has launched a criminal investigation into wasteful spending of millions of your taxpayer dollars in Afghanistan. That waste reportedly includes buying expensive military uniforms that are supposed to be used in forests. As you know, Afghanistan is mostly desert. CBN's national security correspondent Eric Rosales has been following the investigation and brings us the story from Capitol Hill.
People are not being held accountable for wasting money.
John Sopko, the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, told a House Armed Services Committee he's opened a criminal investigation after the Pentagon was found to have spent more than $93 million on Afghan uniforms. Sopko says the forest camouflage pattern was picked despite the country having very little forests, instead of using the Defense Department's own patterns for free.
The only options we gave the Minister of Defense was the proprietary patterns. We never showed him this. The bigger problem is no one ever did an assessment as to what kind of camouflage is best in Afghanistan.
Sopko says it's still too early to determine, in his words, if stupidity, corruption, or a broken system led to the U.S. purchasing about 1.3 million uniforms in the woodland camouflage pattern owned by a Canadian company, Hyperstealth. He did warn if the program is not adjusted quickly, it could cost American taxpayers another $72 million in unnecessary spending during the next decade. Even Defense Secretary Jim Mattis weighed in recently, condemning the alleged waste as cavalier spending in a memo he sent to top Pentagon officials. Defense Department officials also testified on the Hill that they told lawmakers that they're now going to use the Inspector General's report as a catalyst to end the aggressive spending and waste. But right now, the only thing that they've done is start a study of their own.
So it's safe to say no changes have been made to date?
The report has been out for about a month. The primary suggestion in the report was that we determine whether or not there's a uniform pattern that's more suitable.
Sopko says the bigger problem is fixing the way the U.S. government works and spends money.
It's broken. I hate to say it, the system is broken on accountability because we're not holding people accountable. Because by the time we get out there, the money has been spent, and the person who was involved is either retired or long gone. Because there's a 2-year or shorter appropriation cycle, and everyone's got the incentive to spend money.
Sopko says military contractors told him they get rewarded at the end of the year on how much money they spend and not whether the contract is good for the country. Sopko then scolded lawmakers for allowing this to happen.
We have to change that system. And I would highly recommend take a look at the HR system in the Defense Department, take a look at the procurement system, take a look at the incentives that you are allowing to occur which create this problem.
Sopko says he's also recommending a review of all organizational clothing and individual equipment contracts in Afghanistan. We'll keep you posted. Eric Rosales, CBN News, Washington.
Thanks, Eric. Well, if you'd like to weigh less, you could try sleeping more. Not getting enough sleep is tied to being overweight. That's the finding from a study from the United Kingdom. People who only get about 6 hours of sleep a night have bigger waistlines than those who sleep 9 hours a night. The study found that getting an extra hour of sleep could cut about 1/3 of an inch off your waist. Well, Terry, I'm only getting about 6 hours a night lately, so I'm going to try that. Sleep.
I'm heading home myself with my melatonin. I mean, that's an amazing stat. Thanks, Wendy.